Hey guys, it's Susan. Today I'm going to show you how to put together a necklace inspired by Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones is one of my favorite shows. I've watched every season twice, okay, maybe 3 times. Anyway, I just wanted to make a project that was inspired by Game of Thrones so I could wear it for the premiere because it's coming up really soon. So I love the whole idea of dragon glass, and so I've got some components here that I'm going to put together and make myself my very own dragon glass inspired necklace. So to do this, I am going to need a few supplies, really not much. It's actually super easy, but I think you guys are going to like it. Some 24 gauge wire, a really cool pendant. Doesn't that kind of remind you a little bit of the dragon glass? And then also a chain to put your pendant on. You'll also need some tools, just your basic tools here. Chain nose plier, round nose plier, and a flush cutter. Okay, to start out with, I've got this really cool set of arrowheads or daggers. I'm calling them daggers because they remind me of that iconic symbol in Game of Thrones of the dragon glass. This is a really neat set. You can see how it's already embellished with some gold foiling all the way around the outside. But I'm gonna show you how we can embellish it a little further by wrapping some wire around the top. All right, so I'm gonna choose this guy because I want the biggest one. And then I'm gonna take my 24 gauge wire and I'm just gonna unravel some of that to wrap around the top. I'm just gonna take about 1 foot of this. There we go. And you're just gonna cut that just with a flush cutter. So I'm just gonna take the end of this with a chain nose plier and I'm gonna bring this into a little loop. Okay, from there, I'm gonna see I started with my little loop and I'm gonna take my chain nose pliers, I'm gonna grab that little loop and I'm just gonna coil this up into a little coil. And the reason I'm doing this is because I don't like little pieces of wire sticking out and poking me when I'm wearing my pendant, so I wanna make sure I have a nice clean finish to my necklace and my wire wrapping. So I'm just making just a little decorative coil like that. And I'm just gonna pull this in here so you can see that is the back of my pendant right there, and you see where that little coil is at the back of the pendant, and then this is the front of the pendant. You could wear that in the front too if you wanted to, but just go like that, and then take this and just place it right there in the center of your pendant and start wrapping around like so. And I'm just gonna go underneath that. So see how that kind of sits there like that, and I'm gonna use that to finish it off in just a second. So then you can see I just wrapped my remaining wire around that little coil to finish that off. And then I can just finish it off by wrapping it a little bit farther and cutting it off, just like so. Now, if you want to, you don't have to stop right there. You could actually embellish this a little bit more if I used a little bit more wire, and you could bring that wire down and around over the top of this, this arrowhead. And I'm gonna show you that on a different one, because I'm gonna finish this one off right here. So just finish it off right at the back, and you wanna cut off this piece of wire so nobody's ever gonna see it again, because I never want to know where you started and ended this piece. So I'm just going to trim right underneath that little coil and then press that down with my finger. And there's still a little piece sticking out, so I'm just gonna squish that down inside there so you don't see it, like that, boom. And so then there's my front of my pendant. Pretty cute, right? Kind of looks Game of Thrones-ish, I think. All right, so I'll put that one there, and then let me get a little bit more wire this time, and I'll show you what else you could do if you want to. So I'm taking about 2 feet of wire, and I'm gonna start out the same way, making my little coil, and I'm just gonna wrap that up. So I can get started, and that one's a little bit bigger, but it doesn't matter, just a way to get started. And I'll use this smaller guy, the one that I said looked a little bit more like dragon glass. And I'm just gonna wrap that around like so. And then if you want to, what you can do then is coming around to the front, you can take this wire if you want and do a little bit more embellishing. See how I kind of wrapped that? So you kind of get some neat, just a different look to your pendant. So it gives it a real handmade look, which, I don't know, I think that kind of works for Game of Thrones. And then we'll just come here, and I need to get a hold of that little piece right there and finish this off underneath that little piece, the same way I did the other one. So I'm gonna grab it with my chain nose plier or my fingernail, and then so now just wrap it around that little coil to finish it off, like so, and hide it underneath, and then get it pretty tight, trim off the extra wire, and press that down. That one's not quite as neat as my first one, but you get the idea. And then, so now it's just two different looks for you. Like this with a little bit of extra wire, and like that just plain. And then of course, really all you have to do is put this onto a chain of your choice. This one I have here is 24 inches long. It's kind of a cable chain, or you could use this one, which is a little bit more, I call it popcorn chain, but it's almost like a little bit like chainmail. Okay, so what I'm gonna do now is, this is a great piece because they have really large bails. See how big that is? So that's gonna fit on just about any chain you want. So you can use a nice chunky chain. And I have here just a, probably a 5mm cable chain. So that's a pretty big chain with a pretty big clasp. So I'm just gonna take this end and thread that through and just clasp this. This is 24 inches, so you can put it over your head. You could also choose to do a longer chain if you want to, but I like this length, so that's what I'm going with, 24 inches. There you go. All right, so now I'm feeling a little safer since I've got my dragon glass necklace, just in case any white walkers show up. Thanks so much for watching. If you guys would like to pick up some supplies like the ones we work with today, check out the links down below. Who do you think is going to bite the dust in this season of Game of Thrones? Tell me about it in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And now that you know a little bit about making some Game of Thrones inspired jewelry, you can say, I made this.
Thank you.